Hello, just another short one from my Tesla Model 3. Talking about electric car economy versus petrol and diesel cars. Obviously, electric cars are 90% efficient, and petrol and diesel cars are 30% efficient, so they've got a bit of a head start. But during the colder times, electric cars are quite affected by cold weather because everything you need to power your car comes from the battery, as opposed to the petrol and diesel car. It's always there. But it's always there because it's always being wasted, because your petrol and diesel car is using loads of heat, which is a waste. Anything gets hot is a waste. If you touch a light bulb and it's hot, it's wasting energy. So petrol and diesel cars use that same heat during the summer. Total waste. And electric cars only use power when they need the power. None of it gets thrown in the bin. For example, I had for a little while and that's a diesel as well, it's supposed to be economical. I had a diesel Audi, a rental car when this car went in for service. And it was tremendous amount of fuel. And where it used a tremendous amount of fuel, I didn't really notice because I'd forgotten how hopeless petrol and diesel cars were. But when you do a short journey, like you go and take the kids to school or go to the supermarket or just have a little ride round a few miles, the fuel it uses, that stop-start short journey, is amazing. It just throws the fuel away. I mean, see people, you have, say you've got a diesel car and it's quoted as 45 miles to the gallon. Well, that's on a road where you're travelling. You get 45 miles to the gallon when you're sitting in traffic or when you start cold in the morning. And then it's really polluting as well because it pours more fuel into the car when it's cold to start it up. But electric cars, it makes very little difference as far as that's concerned. The only reason electric cars use a little bit more when it's cold is because the battery doesn't like being cold. And you've got to warm the cabin up with some heat. But it's not a lot. In fact, I think electric cars only use about 1 kilowatt of power to heat a car if it's left just parked for 12 hours, which is really very little. When you've got a car that's got 30 is about the minimum size for a battery now of a new electric car, and this car has got about 60. So 1 kilowatt for 12 hours is, well, nothing at all, is it really? It's nothing at all. It's just when you've got something which is so efficient, every little bit seems like that's terrible. I know fossil fuel people talk, anti-electric car people talk like, oh, isn't that terrible? Look at that. There's 80 miles an hour and it's sort of 80 miles an hour in this car. My consumption, which averages over the whole year at 4 miles per kilowatt hour, if I went 80 miles an hour down, which I'm not supposed to do, but supposing I did, down the motorway, my consumption would go down to 3 miles per kilowatt. And as my kilowatts cost 5p, I still get 3 miles per kilowatt. And it only cost me, 15p? No, 5p. Well, that's wonderful, isn't it? No, it's 15p. I'm getting a bit confused. Yeah, so those three kilowatts cost me 15p. So it's amazingly cheap. Even going down the motorway when it's less efficient, it's amazingly cheap. I'm still getting 200 miles per gallon easily. That's about the worst this car would ever do. If you put relative to the price of fuel, the worst I would get out of this car is 200 miles per gallon. And that's on standard electricity rates. When the price dips, because I'm on Oxford Agile, I could get 400 or 500 miles per gallon. This car could cost me a penny a mile. That's an easy way to work it out. On its best scenario, this car would cost me 1p per mile. On the worst scenario, it would cost me 2p a mile. Now that is very cheap, isn't it? I know it's dear to buy, but at least one. I mean, I don't do that many miles, but if you do a lot of miles, I know the leasing costs a bit more, but goodness me, you get your money back. You get your money back. The car efficiency and its economy to run, you'd start, you get your money back on that lease, or a big lump of it. Especially if you bought a cheap EV on lease. There's some you can lease for about £150 a month. Well, if you do a few miles, you could actually save that £150 a month on fuel, and you've got the car for nothing. So that's pretty damn good. It's quite a nice day today. Changing the subject somewhat. It's nice and sunny, and it looks like we're all going to be locked up very soon because of the COVID. Everyone's got a different opinion about it. I mean, I'm old, so I should be saying save the old people, but actually I'm not. When you see younger people, 20s, in the streets, close to each other, I think, well, okay, why not? They don't get affected. Why should they be hammered for something that doesn't affect them? I feel it's down for old people like me to look after themselves, and the young people who are going to work, who are keeping the country going, who are paying taxes. They've got to be given a bit of freedom. And maybe people like me, less freedom. I mean, that's an odd thing for an old person like me to say, but I feel that we've got to look after ourselves. Old people have got to look after themselves. And young people, I mean, obviously wear masks. Everyone should wear masks when they're out and about. The young people and old people should wear masks. But they shouldn't be trapped. Young people shouldn't be... Let's put it this way. If you're a working younger person, so you contribute to the country, it's a bit sad when that person can't have any enjoyment. Because you go to work and you have to go home and lock yourself up. And that is not very fair, is it? No, I'm not against young people having a good time. As long as they don't come running up to me, which is unlikely, running up to me to possibly give me a virus. So we've all got to look after each other. What the government says is, says one thing one day, another thing the next day is totally unpredictable. So, I don't know, just my opinion. My opinion is, look after yourself, because no one else is going to. And so when you say this rule and everyone's thinking, is it that or that, is slightly confusing. Are we staying in? Are we going out? Can we mix 6 people in a house or not 6 people? It is a bit confusing because it varies. It keeps changing anyway. But I think it's all down to be careful. You just got to be careful. You've just got to use your noddle. Think a bit. Think what you're doing. Don't listen to prats like Donald Trump. I mean, he's gone on rallies now, and there's one guarantee, and this is an absolute guarantee. Some people who went to his rallies will die from going to his rallies, and that is a fact. They will die from going to his rallies. So there we are. Mass murderer Trump. Sounds like I'm being comical, but no, I'm not being comical, because that is true. Rallies in a pandemic will kill you, and not everyone, of course, but his rallies are going to kill some American people. And when you see the people at those rallies, they're pretty fat, so that doesn't help. I'm pretty fat, so I'm trying to lose some weight because I've got to defend myself. But those people are put in harm's way by a guy is so selfish. All he wants is to get re-elected. All he wants to get re-elected so he doesn't get stuck in prison. So don't listen to arsehole, because he is endangering you. He is endangering you. So look after yourself. Think for yourself. Don't think through some buffoon. Think for yourself. And that's my moan for the day, because it's been about 10 minutes. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.